Oh, good morning. Good morning. So this is so I was diagnosed with my brain cancer on Thursday. This is about 5 days ago. And I feel so blessed to be on this journey. Yeah, for so many reasons. I had a weird experience last night. I couldn't sleep, and I realized why I couldn't sleep. And it wasn't because of nerves. It was because I'm so excited to feel alive, and I can't wait for today. I cannot wait for today. I've had, just the revelation I had on the night of my diagnosis, moving me from spikes of fear to absolute clarity about what matters now, and making every moment count. That is making every moment count. And, and I decided that I set my intent that I wanted to deepen into my relationships, into the cycle of receiving and giving love. And and I have had every touch point, literally every touch point since I made that intention has been so incredibly nourishing, so incredibly nourishing. I feel so full in my heart, with my family, and I'm just blown away by, what they're all learning on this journey as well. And with my healthcare team, with my friends, it's been so rich. And then I've been, my other revelation was not only making each moment count in my loving relationships, but wanting to kind of make my life, every moment count in living the legacy of my work. And my legacy of my work is conscious leadership, and my work leading well from within. And I know the power. My heart is broken open. I know the power of conscious leadership comes when it's connected to an awakened heart. So I have never felt more alive in these last 4 or 5 days than I do now. And the reason I couldn't sleep last night wasn't because of nerves. I don't have any fear right now. I don't have any fear. I feel just such a joy of blessing. And I'm so excited because I've got my first medical appointments today. I'm Dr. Malone. I've got this dream team. I just have this amazing dream team. Dr. Malone is an extraordinary neurosurgeon, and he set me up to see this morning, for the first time, Dr. T, who's the most extraordinary radiation oncologist at Scripps, MD Anderson. And then Dr. Mason, I'll be seeing him at 11 o'clock today. It's just like, I can't believe, I feel like I'm getting VIP treatment because I just got home and I've got these appointments already. And then my dear friend, Patrick Hanaway, who is, he sent me yesterday a treasure trove of resources, Patrick is, was the director of the functional medicine at the Cleveland Clinic. And he had, I hope it's okay to say, Patrick, you had pretty advanced throat cancer. And I'm happy to say is now cancer-free after 2 years. And his life's been transformed. So he sent me his blueprint, his blueprint for his healing. And I'm just so excited to dig into that blueprint. And in addition, he introduced me to a, you know, people come to Patrick. People come to Patrick asking about how to optimize the integrative, holistic healing journey. I mean, they come to him asking all sorts of questions. We've reached out to Patrick, asking him questions about, regarding, integrative medicine. I mean, Sue had some belly concerns, and she was just blown away by the guidance that she received from him around probiotics. So people go to Patrick, and Patrick, when he was diagnosed with his cancer, turned to just a wonderful clinician. I hope I'm saying the name right, Nlima Chilkov. And he made an introduction for me yesterday, and I went online, and I am just so blown away. And he calls her the bomb in the balm. And so I went online and I looked, and I'm blown away, and I'm so excited to meet her. Because for me, this is a learning journey. It's whatever happens and unfolds. And as I said, I don't know how long I have. I don't know if I'm being called home by God, or I'm being called for a period of higher service while I'm here. I certainly feel that I'm feeling enlivened to serve at a higher level in my work right now. And I also called a number of my coaching clients last night to share my unfolding of my story, and that I want to continue doing my coaching and my workshops as long as I'm able. And I also said, I feel I can serve you at a higher level right now. There's an awakening that's going on for me that is, and in my coaching with Kevin, I really felt like we were at an even higher level in what was coming through. A lot of my coaching right now is in the flow of emergence. It comes from the field, and things come up in the beginning of our sessions, and I just listen deeply into the field. I listen deeply into the field, and I find things coming through me rather than from my brain. I feel they come through me, and I feel, blessed with my clients. So blessed with my clients, because I feel that we're now in a co-emergence. We're in a co-emergence where it's not coming from me, it's not coming from them, it's coming from the space between us. And so I'm learning as much as I'm, guiding on this journey. It's just, my coaching is life-giving. Just weaving back to where I started, I wanted to start this video by saying that I couldn't sleep last night, not because I'm nervous, but because I'm so excited to be alive today. I'm so excited to be alive, and I wanted to be down here to watch the sun come up. And I am blessed to live in a beautiful home. And I just want to take you outside and enjoy this moment with you, because, let me just flip this around. I want you to, how do I do that? Well, let me turn it this way around. This is my garden. And the sun's going to come up from the east. Over there, it comes up over the palms. I don't know if you can see. The birds are out. The birds are out. They have been. We've got a bird feeder over here, it's so exciting, and a water bath, and these are finches. They come out over here. They're finches and doves that just scamper now around this garden, and I realized. I realized what we had set up was, a lot of what I do in my conscious leadership. I talk about how the brain is mapped to Maslow's hierarchy of needs, at a simplified level of safety, belonging, and significance. And so, in simple terms, when we talk about leading consciously, leading from our higher selves, it's Maslowian. And so it's the ability to find psychological safety, connection with, within ourselves, and then do the work of purpose and significance. And that elevation, which is aligned with conscious capitalism's teaching, is we exist to elevate humanity. And so we elevate within ourselves first, and that enables us to elevate others. So I was looking over here in the garden, and I realized that what we have created over here in our garden is the base of Maslow's hierarchy for the birds. They have shelter, they're finches, so they're in the bougainvillea. Look at that, you can see them, I don't know if you can see them in the back. They have shelter and protection from the bigger birds, and then they can pop out here and they can move between, food and water. And then they just hop around here just like in community. I mean, there's like a community of birds over here, so they have belonging. And I'm trying to imagine kind of like, what their version of purpose and significance is. But maybe the ultimate purpose of life is to be fully alive. That is, I'm just kind of connecting with that. That is the ultimate purpose of life, is to live a life being fully alive. And I'm watching these birds flourishing. And it even reminds me of, an early part of my journey, is when I entered the world of integrative holistic medicine. And in 2006, I went to my first conference, and I was blown away. Dr. Lee Lipsenthal, who was the president of the American Board of Integrative Holistic Medicine at the time, I was just so starstruck because I saw him on stage. And first of all, he embodied authenticity. I mean, I've never seen anybody speak like this. He embodied, authenticity. And I remember he was on stage talking about the science of connection. And then he actually gave a definition of optimal health that I've never heard of before. And I'm an internist by training, and I authored one of the first textbooks of evidence-based medicine. And so we at that point in time, I was going around the country talking to thousands of healthcare providers around the country about evidence-based medicine being a paradigm shift. And I would say, it's a new science of, it's bringing science to the bedside, essentially, and that's the paradigm shift. And then I saw Lee, I saw Lee stand on stage and say, give a definition of optimal health, which for me up until that time in conventional medicine was simply maintaining absence of disease. And then Lee says, optimal health is the conscious pursuit of the highest level of function of the physical, mental, emotional, social, and spiritual and environmental aspects of human experience, resulting in a state of being fully alive. This results in a condition of well-being regardless of the presence or absence of disease. And so I'm just connecting right now that I'm living optimal health. I've got cancer. I've got brain cancer that may shorten my life. I don't know yet. It may shorten my life. But I'm living my purpose, which is to be fully alive. I'm living my purpose today, which is to be fully alive. And I've never felt this alive. And I feel so blessed, and I really realize that I'm living optimal health in this moment. And I'm really realizing that the birds are living their optimal health, which is a state of being fully alive. And then I'm also realizing, I've walked through this doorway. On Thursday, I was on one side of the door, and I got my diagnosis, and now I'm on the other side of the door. I'm living with cancer. And I'm not walking through this door alone. I'm walking with my family. I brought my family through with me, and certainly when Zach and Dylan and Sue found out, they were devastated, as you can imagine. They were devastated. Zach when I told him, he had a grief response like I've never seen. He shredded his shirt. And he collapsed. He just collapsed in a heap and was inconsolable for half an hour. 4 or 5 days later, we're sitting, he's recording a video. He's recording an audio. And to see how far he's come, to see how far he has come is mind-blowing, because I realize for all of us, this is a learning journey. And he was sharing last night that his revelation, and he realized that the reason why he collapsed is he's thought of me as being, his rock in his world, and without his rock, his life crumbles. And he was terrified. He wasn't ready. He wasn't ready to lose his rock. It was so just, deeply touching. Deeply touching. I felt so cared for him, and I felt concerned because, I realized if I'm not around, he doesn't have his rock. And then the glorious thing was, there's so many synchronicities over here. There's just so many synchronicities on this journey already. And my friend, Dan Diamond, I love him. I love my brother. Dan, if you're hearing this, I love you, brother. He sent me he's deeply religious. He's Christian, and so before I got my diagnosis, he's just such a generous spirit. He talks about unstoppable love. We're soul brothers, and he talks about unstoppable love. And look at this. The sprinklers are going off. The birds are going up. The garden's being nourished. And that's another beautiful metaphor. How do we care for our garden? And I'm just delighted that the plants are getting their morning drink. So Dan sent me this book of Luke, and Luke was a physician. So I opened the package, and Zach had just told me his revelation about why he collapsed. It was Zach that told me the story that he felt like he had lost his rock, and that was why he collapsed, in a heap of ruins. And then I cut open the packet, and I'm standing, with Zach by the sink where and I said, let's just flip to any page, and the page I landed on, we landed on, was building a foundation. And the passage read, you need to know how to dig down to build a foundation on rock. And if you don't know how to build a foundation on rock, the waters will come and wash your house away, and it will be in a heap of ruins. How do you figure that? This affirms for me that whatever going on is so much larger. When you see synchronicity like this speaks to the field. How do you even figure that magic out? So I feel just so blessed, the learning journey, because the learning doesn't come from me. The learning comes out of the field, and that's a message from the field. That's the message from this collective consciousness, this collective spirit, whatever you want to call it, God, there's so many different names for it. Indira's matrix. I don't know. You can just, there are many different names for this. But I feel like we are just enmeshed. We are enmeshed in this, in this field of glorious, loving, conscious energy. Loving, conscious energy. And that was a loving message, because we were able to talk about, talk further, like asking Zach the deep question: how do you build your foundation, your solid foundation, your rock? How do you build your rock? That's not dependent on my physical presence. I mean, that's a beautiful, thought. And what we realized, when we had our discussion yesterday afternoon, is because this is all coming from the field, when I go back into the field, when I pass on, whenever that time may be, I'm going to go back into the field of spirit. And in that field of spirit, and both my boys are becoming deeply spiritual. They're praying. They're actually praying into the field right now. They're sending me beautiful videos. I'm so touched. They're finding their spiritual life right now. And the prayers and what they're sending me is just like so nourishing. But they're finding their way into the spiritual field right now. And they know they'll always find me there, whether I'm present here or not. I will always be in the field. And what Zach realized last night is I'll always be in the field, and he'll always be able to draw on me for guidance from that field. And before I leave, there will be life lessons he will have already learnt that will, be a source of his intuition. The lessons in particular about when I was, when he had collapsed in the ER, he wanted to stay after Sue and Dill went to the car. He asked to stay with me for a few more minutes in the ER before I was admitted up to my room. And this was just after the diagnosis. And he said, "Dad, what can I do? What can I do?" He was very distraught. He was very distraught. And so what came to me at the time, I said, "Zach, the highest tribute you could pay to me is to live a loving life. The highest tribute you could pay to me is live a loving life." And then he realized, well, now that's part of his rock. So, if I were to die, I anticipate he would naturally have some grief, but he would come back to that. He would come back to that place, that rock, to go on living a rich life of purpose, which is to be fully alive. And so that was his revelation. I just hope you also hear that recording from his perspective from last night. It was just, my mind was blown, because he had internalized that lesson last night, and he said, "Dad, he's telling me how alive he's feeling through this. He's telling me how alive he's feeling through this, and he's so grateful that he doesn't have to wait to get through this. He can live his richest life right now. He can live his richest life right now." And even he had an intake with he was potentially an internship with Facebook yesterday, and it recalibrated him that, because he's doing computer programming and he's not enjoying coding. What he's really come to realize is that he wants to do leadership, the leadership aspect of tech, and he wants to inspire others. He actually said last night, "I want to actually be out there inspiring others, having access through technology to inspire others to," he said, "live a loving life." Oh, so it was so glorious to hear. And then he just realized, he said, "I'm going to do that right now." And so to watch my boys thriving is, it's just so, I can't even express the joy that I feel. And then for Susie, I am blessed with the most extraordinary wife. I just love you so much, Susie. Oh God, to be able to go through this journey for you and to think about our life that we've traveled. I'm thinking about when we got married. Like I'm thinking about how we got married, I met Susie in salsa. She walked across the salsa floor, and she just walked up to me and she said, "I'd like to teach you how to dance." And I thought, I saw this very sexy woman walking across to me, and I was like, "Oh my God!" And then we had our first dance, and I was just like, it was quite erotic. And I said, and afterwards I said, "Sorry, and your name is?" So we had electricity even before we knew each other's name, and then we had, just like this unfolding, this connection. And I remember feeling, the first thing I remember feeling with Susie was just very safe. I felt that base was, the psychological safety was there. And then we kind of developed this kind of incredible warmth and affection. And then a year later, we had been living together, and, I had a download, and now I understand in retrospect what that download was, because it came from the field. And I put my foot, we were going to go to a coffee shop, and I put my foot in the road, and I was shocked because before my foot landed, I said, "I think I'm going to propose." It was like it downloaded on me that I was going to propose to her, and I was bewildered. And I carried that bewilderment into into the coffee shop. And as I sat down on the patio, I was just reeling, because it was almost like I was the last person to find out that I was going to propose. And I said to her, it was probably the most clumsy proposal ever imaginable. And I said to her, I said, "Sue, I can't believe what's happened. I think I want to be married." And her response was, "Well, to anybody in particular?" After that clumsy proposal, this journey began, and we took a 6-month honeymoon to India. And that was, we went to India, Thailand, South Africa, Europe. It was just a magical time. And when we were in India, we went to India because I was feeling burnt out at the time after, my medical training and practice. And I went there, I'd heard on NPR, I went there for a spiritual washout. And I had a spiritual experience, but not as I had anticipated. When we got to Mumbai, we went down to India Gate, and there was a sadhu who is somebody, an ascetic who is relinquished to all his worldly possessions, and he came up to us right at the beginning, and he said, "I'd like to welcome you to India and say a prayer for you." And he was I was deeply touched. And he put I think with the tikka and then the bracelet and a little bit of kind of like this, whatever, the rice or popcorn in the hand, and he said a prayer for me, and I was so deeply moved that I said, "We've arrived. This is what we're here for." And I was just very idealistic and open-hearted, and I spontaneously reached into my pocket. He didn't ask for money. I spontaneously reached into my pocket and took out some money. I didn't know what that money was, but I extended to him in generosity, and he looked at the money. He looked at it, and he said, he went like this, looked at the money, screw you. So I said, well, that kind of took that warm, fuzzy feeling away. And then I realized that, our seeking spirituality in India, there certainly is, just profound spirituality in India with, a vast tradition that cultivates the spirit. But our journey over there, we put together a journal, and what I found myself doing is I realized that I drew a picture, of our spiritual home, and it was just, you can imagine, a picture of a crude just box house, but what I populated that with was the values that we wanted to live, the values that we wanted to actually live in our spiritual home. And when I reflect back right now on the family we've created, we are living our spiritual home. We are living our spiritual home, which is also, giving me a sense of being so blessed and feeling fully alive at this time. I mean, I'm thinking, Susie, that the fact that I can be in this mindset state is that we've been preparing ourselves all of our lives and our relationship with a spiritual home that is that strong, that can create space for this transformation. So I deeply love you. I deeply love and appreciate you and feel so blessed to be on this journey with you. So let me just loop back to where I started, to say why I'm so excited to be. I couldn't sleep last night because I'm so excited to be alive this morning. I'm so excited to be alive this morning and thinking of all the, anticipating all the rich connections I'm going to have today, and how my blessing, the blessing of this thing, and the sun is beginning to come up in my beautiful garden, and we'll just go back and watch the birds just jump happily through the garden, living their flourishing life with me. Together, we are here, all of us together, being fully alive. I love and appreciate each one of you listening to this.